Diamondbacks farm director.
Well, he knows the players, and I think that was probably one of the things they looked at was the fact that a lot of these players came up under his watch, and he knows them as well as anyone. So if anyone can get the best out of them, he's probably going to be that guy.
Felipe Lopez, a switch hitter, off to a good start at the plate, hitting over 300. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, the Diamondbacks third from the bottom in the American League in team batting average. They will hit home runs, but they also strike out at an alarming rate. 2 balls, 1 strike. Last year the Diamondbacks were second only to the Marlins in strikeouts on offense, and this year they are only second to the Marlins in strikeouts on offense. 3-1.
Well, you don't want to lead the league in strikeouts, Ryan. In order to score runs, you got to put the ball in play, and you got to put the ball in play regularly. And you don't think about too many strikeouts; they always seem to come at the wrong time. They're more rally killers in those strikeouts than anything else.
Shallow left. David started back, but adjusts, comes up to make the play, and 1 down in the first inning. Beautiful night at the ballpark. 85 degrees at first pitch, and we started on time at 7:10 Central. Official time and temp presented by the Parking Spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The Parking Spot at KCA. And now Gerardo Parra, a rookie outfielder, and he lines it to left. And David's there to make that catch. So 2 up, 2 down against Gill in the first inning. Well, Gill on Wednesday at Cleveland, 7 scoreless innings, only 4 hits, 3 walks, and tied a career high with 11 strikeouts. The Royals won that game 9-0. Coincidence or not, but the stats will tell you that June is one of his best months.
All right, a lot of times when you face a team that's striking out, they want to hit the ball early in the count. They don't like to hit in deep counts, and if that continues and Gill continues to make the pitches he wants to try to get the Diamondbacks to put the ball in play, then he's going to have a low pitch count night.
1-0 on Justin Upton. 1 ball, 1 strike. You know, the funny thing about Gill's start, because he was just lights out. He had great command of his fastball. All of his pitches were working. We're thinking, man, he must have felt great. But he said coming out of the bullpen, he felt terrible. He thought it was going to be a long night in Cleveland. There's a good curveball. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Upton. That happens sometimes. A guy comes out of the bullpen thinking he's going to throw a no-hitter, and he's out in the 3rd inning. And there are instances like Gill on Wednesday when you feel terrible in the pen and you come out and have your best stuff of the year.
But sometimes the mounds in the pen are a little bit different than the mounds on the actual playing field, and sometimes you get in there, the adrenaline kicks in, and all of a sudden you got your fastball command. You got your fastball command, and everything seems to follow along.
Way over on that first base side of the rubber. Great curveball that just paralyzed Upton. And the Diamondbacks down 1-2-3. season. Here's the Royals M&I Bank starting lineup. David DeJesus with Willie Bloomquist hitting second. He is in center field. Butler, Guillen, Olivo will hit fifth again. Mike Jacobs moves down to number 6, followed by Cayaspo. Mark Teahan hits 8th for the first time this year. And Tony Pena Jr. at shortstop. Facing 33-year-old Doug Davis. Here's the Kia scouting report.
The one thing about Doug Davis, Brian, righties are hitting 275. The biggest problem is just he pitches a lot of deep counts. They say if he can eliminate the deep counts, he usually does okay. Sometimes he goes to the cutter. That's the pitch he loves to throw, along with his changeup. But big problem with Jacobs, a left-handed hitter, 6 for 8, but no problem with Guillen, 1 for 11. I mean, that's completely backwards, I think.
So 0-2 on DeJesus, and you can see just from the first 2 pitches that he might be a guy you need to have 1-2 at bats against until you're comfortable with that slow, deliberate. That's about as deliberate as any pitcher in the major leagues.
Well, that's true, and then Jacobs could have success against it because he might not be able to get to the extension side of the plate against Jacobs, and that might be the reason that he's had so much success against him.
Under the chin as David running out of the box.
This is a good look at it right here. That just started inside right out of his hand and it stayed inside. And David was just fortunate enough that he turned the proper way as a hitter. A lot of times the hitter turn his body toward that pitch and get his head out of the way, and that's not very good right there.
Still 1-2. 3 hits and 12 at bats for David in the Red Series. 7-game hitting streak. Coming in tonight at 240. Played very well against the Diamondbacks last year when the Royals took 2 out of 3 in Phoenix last season. David, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs in that series, including a grand slam. Over Rusty Kuntz's head. As Rusty might say, we've got action.
I think Rusty remembers that any ball that hits that screen kind of shoots back toward him, and they're very rarely hit that screen and go down the line. They'll just go firing right back into the infield. That's why you don't see a lot of overthrows at first base. You don't see a lot of guys taking that extra base because that screen throws the ball back to the field.
Still alive, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, the Diamondbacks coming in last place in the National League West. They have the 2nd worst record in the National League. Washington is 29 games under 500 already. Fouled away again. David has fouled off 5 in this plate appearance. And it's a team that has some names. You know, Brandon Webb, he's on the disabled list right now. Dan Herron and the pitching staff. Max Scherzer, who's from MU. We'll see him tomorrow. Some great young hitters. But you look at the numbers, and I mentioned 3rd from the bottom in team batting average. They're 4th from the bottom in ERA. Giving up a lot of home runs. Some stats can be deceiving. Other stats tell the whole story.
Well, the ERA always tells the story. And we looked at the Royals early this year. Even when they were going through their struggles, the ERA was high, and that kept them right up there in the middle of things. But when the ERA drops to the bottom, then that means that nothing's working for your ball club because they don't have pitching. So regardless of what kind of hitting or defense you have, you're not going anywhere.
Two balls, 2 strikes. So David is going to force at least a 10-pitch at bat against Doug Davis. And this is kind of Doug Davis's game. He works long counts, as you said, high pitch count, slow worker. Struck him out with the curve. So Davis wins the long duel and 1 down in the bottom of the 1st. Arizona defensively tonight. Parra, Young, and Upton in the outfield, with Ryan Roberts at 3rd, Stephen Drew, Felipe Lopez, and Mark Reynolds, and Miguel Montero is behind the plate. And the Diamondbacks 14th in the National League in fielding percentage. So 14th in hitting, 13th in ERA, and 14th in defense. Ball one on Bloomquist. Willie with 5 hits, 3 RBIs in the Cincinnati series. Talking to Darren Sutton, the television voice of the Diamondbacks, and just kind of exchanging information on each other's teams and going up and down the lineup. And pitching aside, Frank, I said to Darren, it just kind of rolled off my tongue, and I thought, well, that makes sense. Here's Darren with Mark Grace. I said, Willie Bloomquist, if you were going to vote for team MVP today, he might get a lot of votes.
Well, I mean, in my point of view, yeah, for sure, because he's been able to fill a lot of voids on the ball club, not only position in the position area, but also bringing another element to the game. His offense is picked up, and also his base running. Not only just being able to run the bases and steal bases, but his aggressive slides into second base. He's just playing a very professional game right now, and talking to him, he feels like he's just getting to play more, and by getting to play more and following Kevin Seitz's approach to hitting, it's really benefited him.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And how many utility guys can you name that can play both shortstop and center field?
Wow, right off the top of my head, not any at all. I mean, he just with speed you can do a lot of things, and knowledge of the game you can do a lot of things. And right now, Willie has been around long enough that he's gained that knowledge of how to be a professional, how to approach each position that he has to play every day, and he has a good knowledge about those positions. And so far, by moving around, you don't get exposed. And really, the one position I would say he would not be able to play a lot and would be shortstop, and that's only because of the throw from the hole. Because as far as making a routine play, he can do that.
And like DeJesus having a long at bat with Doug Davis, and that's stroked into left. So 1 on, 1 out. And Billy Butler coming up.
Now, Ryan, this is an 8-pitch at bat right here, ending on a line drive to left field. So in Kevin Seitz's eyes, that would be a quality at bat right there. Now, when you make the pitcher work that hard, and you know that's a plus for the next guy that's coming up behind him.
Yeah, if you're Billy Butler digging in right now and you're paying attention, you've seen 18 pitches from Doug Davis already. Oh, and 1 from Davis. Billy lost a 9-game hitting streak on Sunday. Had a home run, 3 RBIs against the Reds. He is facing Doug Davis for the first time.
The one thing that Billy does well, Ryan, is he picks up the changeup about as well as anybody I've seen. And if they keep the ball up for him, then he'll hit it. He knows how to sit on a changeup and wait on a changeup or wait on an off-speed pitch. So Doug Davis really kind of plays into his way of hitting.
Willie has stolen 11 this year and only thrown out twice. One and 1. Bloomquist holds at first. Well, to give you an example, and this is an extreme, but you talk about a guy like Davis who throws a lot of pitches and works a lot of counts. You can go no further than his last start. Wednesday against the Giants, took the loss. He only went 4 innings. Gave up 5 runs, but he threw 101 pitches in 4 innings. 2-1. He might throw 101 in the first inning tonight. So one extreme. Davis on Wednesday. The other extreme was Luke Hochevar's start on Saturday against the Reds. 80 pitches in 9 innings.
Well, we're not overpowering with the fastball. A lot of times they want to try to get you to chase, and you sort of feel that out early. So the hitters aren't going to chase, so you need to get the ball back on the plate and at least let them put the ball in play. Your pitch, but you have to make them put the ball in play.
Willie takes off. He got a good break, and Montero's throw is late, and it rolls into center field. Young was slow charging in from center, so Willie gets to third easily.
So I don't know if you're reading anything into what Doug Davis is doing, but he got a great jump, went first move, went head first, and this is one of those things that middle infielders need to figure out how to do. They need to figure out how to keep the ball on the infield and really do a good job of keeping that ball in there. See, as a catcher, you hate to get an error on a throw like that because that's a catchable ball. Even though you don't get the runner at second, your main job is to stop the ball from going to the outfield.
And now walk, putting runners at first and third for Jose Guillen. Young looked like he was on the move coming in from center field, but there are very few center fielders who I think anticipate the chance that there might be an overthrow, and they're on that ball right away.
Well, they really should anticipate it. Once they see that guy breaks from first, they got to be coming at right as soon as the ball passes the hitter. They've got to be moving in right away. And then the off player, whether it be the second baseman or the shortstop, then they've got to hustle back at an angle and try to keep this throw from getting deep. So they're like a backup guy too.
And now Jose Guillen, who had Sunday off. And as we showed you at the beginning of this inning, he's had a bad time against Doug Davis in his career. His overall average 253, but you can add almost 100 points to his average with runners in scoring position. And that is 25 pitches in the inning for Doug Davis.
Well, the way Jose's able to slow himself down at times and look for off speed, I'm surprised that's so lopsided, because he's one of the few guys that I've seen that can look for a pitch and wait for a pitch and put it in play.
Now it's 3-0. "26 pitches to 3 batters, and now facing his 4th. This would be a tough guy to play defense behind.
Oh boy. Without a doubt.
4-pitch walk, and they're loaded up for Olivo. And now a visit to the mound from Mel Stottlemyre Jr. And the Royals might have the right man coming up, Miguel Olivo, with 4 home runs in his last 6 games.
Well, the one thing Miguel's been doing is anything Mel land, whether it be belt high and down, he's not been missing. So what he's got to do here, probably, is just make the ball be out of the way and hit the ball the other way.
Davis has walked 2, allowed a single. It looked like he may have been taking a shot up the middle or towards right field.
Well, he's just throwing that cutter in on his hand, and he just got to make sure he gets something out over the plate.
Now, Olivo, the opposite of Jose Guillen. He has done better this year. The runners are not in scoring position. This inning started with a strikeout of DeJesus. That was about 45 minutes ago. One ball, one strike.
it's one of those situations, Ryan, where Doug Davis has a pretty good cutter, and he likes to throw it both sides of the plate to both right and left-handed hitters. But then he's getting more in trouble with his curveball. To me, you go look at all of the pitches he's thrown so far this inning. You say, okay, what's the worst pitch I've thrown? I think it's been the curveball. That's the one he's been lacking control with. So you go back to the cutter. That's your best control pitch.
Olivo's always done better against lefties in his career, and this season no exception. On the ground to third, the Diamondbacks get an out at third, but no double play. So Bloomquist scores, 1-0 Royals. So Olivo drives in his 25th of the year.
Davis throws a cutter, got in on his hand, got above the trademark, and forced him to pull a ball on the ground to the corner. Something you don't want to do in this situation. And Miguel was able to hustle down to first base and beat the throw.
If he could do it again, does he come to the plate thinking I'm only going to get one out on this play? Roberts?
Well, I think
you're going to get one out. You want to cut the guy down at the plate.
You mainly want to go home in that situation. Though, if you go to second base, you got a better shot than taking those 5 or 6 steps to the bat.
So 2 on 2 out for Mike Jacobs.
So when you look at it from this situation, you can see where he's playing at third base, and the ball takes him toward the bag, so you still got to take those 3 or 4 steps to get to the bag. And based on how that ball's hit there, probably home would probably been the best place to go.
Off speed, and Jacobs 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, Doug Davis is tough on lefties. Mike Jacobs is better against righties and lefties, so this one doesn't make sense. 6 for 8 with 2 home runs.
Only if he's trying to get inside and try to jam him with his fastball. That's the only time he can make a mistake and get hurt. See, that's another pitch right there that's on the inner half. So maybe that's what maybe they figure that's how they do this. He's a straight up type hitter. He can get in on his hands, and they just miss. And when they miss, he's got them.
This is the 35th pitch of the inning, and Jacobs pulls it foul. Davis, a great story last year in spring training. He was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, so he had surgery to remove his thyroid, but he made his first 2 starts of the year, then had the surgery, came back from the disabled list, clean bill of health. Both his sister and his mom had the same condition and had full recoveries. Struck him out. Inning over. Royals get a run to take a lead at the end of 1. On the disabled list, but we'll take you any way we can get you. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me. As I was sitting here and hearing all the people I talked to on the plane, I was like, oh, I guess they do something.
Well, you would know because you're normally on the field, and I would assume that if you'd had your choice, you rather would have caught Gill's top of the first rather than the Doug Davis bottom of the first.
Yeah, I saw a couple guys out there shaking their legs.
Yeah, that's a tough defensive day when that happens.
That's kind of our job as catchers and pitchers to try to speed that up because, everybody knows that the quicker you are on defense, the better the fielding percentage. And it's funny how your hitting increases and gets better the shorter you are on that field. So that's, when you have an inning like that, it obviously isn't beneficial to your team usually, statistically.
Now, we've referenced Gill's last start on Wednesday at Cleveland. Did you get a chance to watch that back here in Kansas City?
Of course.
What'd you like?
I like the way he was aggressive. I like the way his breaking ball has that good sharp break to it again, and he was using his changeup more often than he was before.
And he picks up his second strikeout, hitting Stephen Drew. Tonight's league leaders brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. Lowest opponent's batting average in the major leagues last year. The National League hit 181 against Gil Mesh, who, by the way, is 13-4 in his career against the National League. So let me ask you part of that question, John, as Mark Reynolds takes strike one. Coincidence that the Royals have played so well against the National League the past few years, or is there something to it?
I don't know. I think we hit a point where we're playing good baseball and they just happen to fall on those days, I think.
It's interesting what Joel had to say about the lineup in the mind of Mark Grace, the former National League player and television announcer for the Diamondbacks, that the Royals are always carrying that designated hitter, so they have the advantage with the DH, where the National League just kind of plugs in a backup player into the DH role.
Well, those guys in the National League, they get to hit every night, too. I mean, they're hitting for the pitcher every night, so it's not like they're just sitting there and not doing anything. But I think going to the National League and having to take your DH and put him on the bench, I think that's a great advantage for the National League. Plus, your pitchers haven't bunted or swung the bat.
I think, too, if you ask anybody that's played in both leagues or hit in both leagues or pitched in both leagues, there is a difference the way we approach certain counts, like 0-0, 1-1, and 2-2 counts. We'll be a little more aggressive with off-speed pitch or trying to throw off because we generally 1 through 9, you got somebody who's bopping. You got like a Tommy.
Left center field. Willie Bloomquist out in center tonight. 2 down in the second inning.
You got like a Tommy who you may take the extra 2 or 3 pitches to not go ahead and groove one where you're facing a pitcher who saves you obviously more pitches, you pitch more aggressive, and that saves on your pitch count. So those are a little bit different things that as a catcher you would think about pitching in the National League compared to pitching in the American League.
So the National League hitters just might not be ready for the approach that the American Leaguers are going at them with.
There are times where we went over there, we went to Arizona, and I'd pitch them still the way I would pitch, maybe a little less aggressive with fastballs, more aggressive with the secondary pitch.
Left field and deep, but playable for DeJesus. And Gil Mesh has 2 perfect innings with a couple of strikeouts. So what National League team do you think was the biggest surprise in the past decade or this decade? Diamondbacks winning at 01, Marlins in 03, Rockies of the World Series in 07, or the way the Mets have collapsed with a huge payroll the last couple of years. Text 432-432, enter keyword Royals, followed by a space and your selection. Standard text rate supply. 1-1 on Alberto Callaspo. Alberto, a former Diamondback. Royals got him a couple of off seasons ago for pitcher Billy Buckner.
Brian, I think going back to you call it, I think the Rockies, I mean, they got so hot there toward the end. I think they won, what, 22 in a row or something like that. And I think that was the biggest surprise to me.
Here's Billy. How about that pitch? Up and in, and he lines it to right, caught by Upton. That's the kind of swing that Kevin Seitzer likes to see. That is a perfect example of keeping your hands inside the ball.
Well, you're also able to try to get above the ball and be able to change your swing. You should be able to take your bat to the ball, and they did a good job of trying to get on top of that ball and stay inside of it at the same time.
We're joined in the booth by Royals catcher John Buck as Mark Teahen steps in with one out. 0-1 the count. Mark, one of the characters of the clubhouse, and he is going with the slump buster pants up to just below the knees, although he has a 7-game hitting streak.
Maybe it's the pants. It couldn't be the time he spent in the cages. Kevin had nothing to do with that. It's the pants. We should have put our pants up at the beginning of that losing streak, right?
If it's that easy, yeah.
Well, it's stroked to right, and now it's an 8-game hitting streak. And Teahen will have extra bases. Picking up third base coach Dave Owen, who had the stop sign up. So Teahen at second with one out.
Darn near screaming.
Well, what you got right here, Ryan, he's got that big curveball that stayed on the inner half, and Mark turned on it, got his head down on it, and drove it in the right field corner. And that's one place you don't ever have to worry about him running hard at is on the bases. He makes good turns and always keeps his eye on the ball. He just runs hard right out of the box, and that's why he's able to get so many doubles and triples.
And now Tony Pena. There's a chance in this series that at some point Tony Pena will be pitching to Tony Pena. The Diamondbacks setup man is named Tony Pena, no relation. TJ with just one at bat in the Cincinnati series. Royals forced Doug Davis to throw 36 pitches in the first inning. But Davis did a good job of limiting the damage, giving up just one run. 2-0 on TJ. I guess a guy like this, John, it's just the way he is. Maybe I'm sure someone has suggested to Doug Davis over the years, speed it up, but this is the way he goes about it.
Well, it's enough to where, as a hitter, you have to adjust kind of your mental approach in the box too, because you know he's going to take a long time in between pitches. And even in our hitter meeting today, that's something that Kevin brought up, and that way you can kind of be prepared for it, and that way you don't get a little anxious and swing at the pitches, because obviously he kind of picks around the plate.
3-1.
A lot of times, right, when you're facing the guy that works this slow, what you want to try to do is wait till the last minute to get set. You don't want to get set too early, because the longer you sit there, the tighter you're going to get. So you may want to take an extra check swing in between his windup, and that'll keep you right. Keep you right in rhythm.
3 balls, 2 strikes.
And also, too, one of the things he does is, I know it threw me off last year, is how slow he actually brings his leg down when he's even in the stretch. It feels like he's up there forever.
Teahen will hold as Stephen Drew throws out Pena. Teahen at second, 2 down, and David Jesus coming up. Something I'm sure Doug Davis doesn't get a lot of credit for with his slow, deliberate motion is you got to have strong legs to do that over and over again. Hang that leg up there for so long.
Yeah, and if you watch him, it's like he's striding in slow motion too. It's not just a drive. It's like he's gliding, and it feels like he strides at you forever, which obviously throws off your timing.
David struck out his first time, but he made Davis throw 10 pitches.
Well, he just takes it straight up and just pushes it straight out toward the hitter. But like John said, it does take him a while to get down to that landing point. But, like John also said, that hitting is timing and pitching is breaking timing.
Fast runner, strong arm, and Tien wins out as the ball is cut off. So De Jesus with 2 outs drives in a run, and the Royals lead 2-0.
David does a good job at middle end fastballs. He's really good at that, and your third base coach really gets excited when he's sending a guy home. There was nothing going to stop him right there. He was committed. That's something third base coaches like to do.
Ball 1 on Willie. Scored the Royals run in the first inning. Singled with 1 out. Stole his 12th base. Coming home on a Miguel Olivo fielder's choice. And it's 2-0. Now we showed you Davis's motion. Of course, that's going to be a little faster with men on base. As if he hangs that leg like he does out of the windup, you might see the first ever steal of 2 bases on 1 pitch.
That's when the catcher calls timeout and says, hey, if you want me to help you with this guy, you better help me a little bit too.
And what he'll do is to throw you off, which I know one of the things that got me is you can see he's giving that small leg lift, and then he's done that for 3 or 4 pitches, and what you might do is see him lift a little bit higher.
De Jesus running, and Bloomquist rolls it to third, and Roberts throws him out. That's the inning, but the Royals get a 2-out RBI from De Jesus and lead 2-0. And by AT&T, switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Gilmesh, 2 perfect innings and has a 2-0 lead as we move to the third. Ryan Lefevre, Frank White, and John Buck has joined us in the booth and really hasn't had much time to talk about Gil because he's thrown 25 pitches and 2+ innings.
That's a good thing.
What's your thought on what he's been able to do since moving over to the first base side of the rubber?
I think it just frees him up. And I'm talking to him in the bullpen on a session as soon as he did it. He said it just feels like I have a bigger lane going to the plate, which what he was doing when I was catching him, he just couldn't throw in consistent. I'd set up in there, it'd go the other way. I'd set up away, he'd throw it to the other side. He couldn't be consistent on his lane to the plate. And obviously, he's been a lot more consistent, been able to throw inside the lefties a lot more consistent, and been able to throw his cutter a lot more consistent. Because it would get big, he would get a sharp one, and then he'd get kind of a sweeping one. This way, he's able to have that lane where moving to the other side of the mound, it's a bigger lane to the plate, so that he throws that same consistent arm speed.
Look at that curve. Just buckled Miguel Montero, and that's 3 strikeouts for Gil. 1 down in the 3rd. John, you don't get to see this curve from this angle very often.
Well, this is one of those curves that kind of freezes you and sort of raises you up and brings you back down at the same time. And this is Gil Mesh, what I would call vintage Gil Mesh right here.
I think if you see where Miguel was sitting up, he's kind of sitting up middle away on that pitch, and that's kind of what I was talking about. He feels like he has that whole lane. If you look at the plate, right about where Miguel's foot was, that's kind of where Miguel wanted the pitch, his outside foot for the left-handed hitter. He wanted that ball on that outside. He started it there. Obviously, he had a little more hook to it, but that's that lane that I was talking about. A little more room for air, if you will, for the ball to kind of come back a little bit. But you see how he can accelerate his arm through, and that lane is bigger. That way he has more arm speed on that curveball, which he can get that good break.
So if he's on the right side and throw that same curveball, when he doesn't have any room to move, it'll move back to the middle and not to the outer half of the plate.
Correct.
TJ cuts it off, didn't get him. Eric Burns beats it out, but Tony Pena Jr. showing off some range just to cut that ball off. And that's the first base runner for Arizona.
Yeah, Tony's, I think, catchers and pitchers, he's our favorite infielder. Because, I mean, that ball was almost it's on the other side of the bag. Yeah. And then the way his arm, he like dislocates his arm to throw it over there.
I always call him a rubber man when he makes that play, because that's very hard to do without adjusting your feet.
And guys like TJ make that throw look so easy. I mean, you're running in one direction, you're throwing in the other direction.
It's not.
And they don't lose much velocity and accuracy. I think those are the key things right there when you're going away from the play.
Center field, and Bloomquist from the shadows into the waning sunlight. Ryan Roberts is out. Burns back to first and 2 down. So first time through the order, Gil Mesh has given up an infield single, and that's it. And now Felipe Lopez for the second time. Lopez flied to left in the first. Gil pitched well last year when the Royals were in Arizona. Took 2 out of 3. Gave up 3 runs in 7 1/3 innings. And if I recall, he got a rally started with an infield single, didn't he?
Maybe. You caught me while I'm watching the game trying to watch what Gil's doing, and I have no idea what you were saying, to be honest
with you.
I'm
pretty sure. Well, one thing doesn't change no matter where you are, John. When in doubt, just say maybe.
See, I was concentrating because there's 2 outs. When I wasn't last time, I ran off the field. I don't know if you remember that. So I got to make sure 2 out situations. Right. I got to focus.
Whether you're crouched behind home plate or in the booth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've learned my lesson.
Tien diving play with the high pants and all. It's got to be the pants. So some range on the left side of the infield tonight. is a longtime civil rights leader within the community of Excelsior Springs, Missouri, ending years of segregation in a local cafe. And he's enjoying the ball game tonight, where Buck O'Neill did for so many years, and enjoying a 2-0 Royals lead. John Buck to Stephen Drew at short. 2 pitches, 1 out. Billy walked his first time up.
Why did you think that was John Buck?
Did I say Buck?
Didn't you?
I don't think
Billy.
so.
Okay.
Here's our Roadrunner Turbo speed pitch comparison. Gill at 95, Davis at 88. You can double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable. No, I would have said you if it was a bullet into left field. Guillen walked in the first inning. 1 ball, 1 strike. Still waiting for that week to 2 weeks or a month for Jose to get hot like he did last year.
When he gets hot, he gets hot. That's for sure.
The ball jumps.
Right
1
there.
ball, 2 strikes.
Sorry, Ryan. Right there on that pitch, you see how long he held that at the top of his deliver. That's another pitch. He'll use it on his fastball, changeup, and his curveball. And that's what I was trying to talk. That Kevin obviously alluded to us in our meeting. That's one of the things he'll try to do to kind of screw up your timing.
Two and two, and I guess he could do the opposite as well. So maybe try and lull you to sleep, and then maybe quicken the motion up, and you're not ready for it.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was trying to talk about before when there was a guy on first. He was trying to do that to Willie on that first pitch, and kind of he just fouled it off. And I think that's what he kind of quick pitched Willie Bloomquist.
Got him with a breaking ball. Montero tags him out. Davis strikes out his second. Well, coming up tomorrow, it's retro night, as in going back to 1969, a pregame party featuring Liverpool, the Beatles cover band, starting at 4:30. You'll enjoy throwback prices tomorrow, $6 for lower level seats, and Buck Night dollar concessions. That's tomorrow. Royals and Diamondbacks. Zach Greinke will pitch for KC, and Max Scherzer, formerly of MU, will start for the Diamondbacks. 0-1 on Olivo, his fielder's choice ground out in the first inning. Scored Bloomquist. And it's 0-2, and Davis kind of picking up the pace here in the third inning. Make that 3 strikeouts now for Doug Davis. Reynolds doesn't quite get to it, and it's still 0-2. Now, that last fastball was at 87 miles an hour, but I imagine it seems quicker than that with that slow motion.
Well, not to mention all this other stuff is so slow. You know, that's kind of what ends up setting your timing, and when all you've seen is 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, and then he pumps it up, it definitely looks a lot harder than that.
Got him to chase a fastball up. That's his first 1-2-3 inning. Davis has struck out 4. Of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. And by Colorado Tourism. Plan your summer vacation at Colorado.com. Ryan Lefevre, Frank White, and Royals catcher John Buck up in the booth. Joel Goldberg down on the field. 2-0 Royals. Gil Mesh has retired 9 of 10 so far tonight. Only given up an infield single. Gerardo Parra lined out to left his first time up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gil with 3 strikeouts. Well, it was a start for Gil on May the 30th. That after the top of the 3rd inning, John Buck did not bat in the bottom of the 3rd. And had to be assisted out of the dugout with some back spasms. And it's nice seeing you during the Red Series out on the field and at least playing some catch. How's the back coming along?
Feeling good. You know, I always try to push it, and Nick always tries to slow me down. So that's a good thing, I guess. He says I'm doing good. He won't give me any dates when I'm coming back, just because I think he knows me too well. I would try to beat that date, but it's going well. I feel good. I don't feel any pain doing normal everyday stuff and starting into baseball activity and haven't felt any pain since then. So let's chalk it up as a plus.
Still 3-2 on Parra. But you're still in the hitters meetings as you were tonight. Still in the pitchers meetings, right?
Yes. You know, can't stay away. You know, they're trying to shoo me out of places now because you get on the DL, you tend to annoy people because you don't have anything better to do.
Bullet into the seats over near the tarp. Well, you will not be shooed away from the television broadcast booth.
Well, thank you.
Come up here anytime you want. Got him with a fastball. 4 strikeouts for Gil. That one at 93. Now Justin Upton comes up. Struck out his last time. Here's the Arby's pitch by pitch.
Well, the one thing Gil's doing is he's spotting his fastball on the outside corner here, Ryan, and backing it up again, and then he comes with a curveball. You notice the lane that the pitches are in. Everything's just right where John was saying, just right off Miguel Oliva's right foot. And he was able to get a strikeout with his curveball.
All right, John, what do you do here? Do you just go with the same thing that worked last time, or do you assume that Upton is going to make an adjustment?
Well, as of right now, Gil went with his strengths on throughout the whole count, and the way Gil's thrown right now, I go with his strengths until I see BJ making an adjustment on me. Justin, thank you.
You know, I was just biting my lip all night. I was going to try to go the whole series without saying Justin. Because it's so easy to, without saying BJ, because it's so easy to say BJ because we see more of him.
I'm going to say I'm not the only person in the booth to ever do that.
No, you're not. And I tell you, what also makes it more difficult is the uniform is different, but their stances are very similar.
Slightly open.
Built the same, great athletes. Both got to the big leagues, by the way, at 19 years old. And the cutter is in for a strike, and it's 2-2. Both started as infielders, moved to the outfield and had a great deal of success. Justin more of a middle of the order type hitter, although BJ could if the Rays wanted him to be, but right now he is Tampa Bay's leadoff man. Curveball to the right side. Iasco handles it and throws him out. 2 up, 2 down. Here's tonight's Firestone leaderboard. And major league leaders in fewest home runs allowed by a starter. Gil Mesh has given up 2. This is his 14th start. Zach Greinke has given up 2. Joel Pinheiro will see the Cardinals this weekend. Now, obviously, there's some, pitching talent that goes with that, but it's the pitch calling by the catchers, right?
That's my opinion.
Right to Iasco again. Almost took his cap off. Another 1-2-3 inning for Gilmesh. With Zach Greinke against Max Scherzer. Tomorrow's game is in HD. First pitch at 7:10. Royals live with Joel at 6:30. Mike Jacobs struck out against Doug Davis in the first inning. One of the few times Doug Davis has ever retired Mike Jacobs. Jacobs had been 6 for 8 with 2 home runs against his lefty. Just foul, and Jacobs had to make sure he didn't run into that. 0-2. Well, after a couple of shaky innings to begin tonight, and Davis throwing 56 pitches in the first 2 innings, he's retired 5 out of the last 6. Striking out Guillen and Olivo to end the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Yeah, those 2 innings the game really could have got away from him there, Ryan. So he did a good job of minimizing the damage and keeping his team in the ballgame.
That is right where Miguel Montero wanted it. 5th strikeout for Davis, and the 2nd time he's gotten Jacobs.
So he's one of the few lefties that always pitch him inside. And I think that's the reason that he's had success, because they've been able to miss their spots. But right here, he threw the ball just where the catcher wanted, and Mike chased the ball up out over the plate.
Now Callaspo line to right his first time up. One ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, I talked to Bert before the game, and I asked him, I said, how's he going to feel playing against your old team? And he says, well, you know, I want to beat them, you know that, but I'm not going to do anything special. I'm going to try to let the game come to me. And that's a great attitude to have. A lot of times you play your old team, you just get so pumped up that you make a lot of mistakes without the other team forcing you to make it.
Lopez runs down that ground ball, and now Davis has retired the last 6. Martin coming up. Well, you can teach kids about value and about baseball this summer while they're out of school and here at Kauffman Stadium. Thursday nights at the K are $3 youth nights, excluding September the 24th. You'll get 3 $3 view level infield tickets for kids 14 and under with every regularly priced ticket purchased for the same game at the box office. That's every Thursday night at Kauffman Stadium. Tien doubled and scored in the second inning. And he's made the defensive play of the game tonight. Diving on a ground ball off the bat of Lopez in the third inning. 2 balls, 1 strike. Off the end of the bat and into center field. Tien is 2 for 2.
Thanks to his pants.
He's going to have everyone wearing pants like that tomorrow.
I'm going to wear them.
Up here in the booth?
It'll help me get healthy quicker, man.
You know, a lot of times the players used to wear their pants up if he thought they'd get too many low strikes called on them, so they'll roll their pants up. But the way Mark's done, he's kept his shoulder in there, and he's really covering the plate right now. He's not pulling out and not trying to lift up on the ball. He's just going right with the pitch.
Now Tony Pena Jr. with a healthy rip, grounded out to short in the second inning. In the first inning, Olivo's fielder's choice scored Bloomquist, and in the second inning, DeJesus' 2-out single scored Tien. Meanwhile, Gil Mesh is retired 12 of 13. Tien has stolen 3 this year. Royals got a stolen base from Willie Bloomquist in the first inning against Davis, and then catcher Montero charged with an error when the ball ended up in center field. Bloomquist to third and scored in the first. Frank, we couldn't tell if Willie was either going on first movement against Davis or he just got a great jump. But Montero really had no chance to throw him out.
None at all. And I think that's a lot of times when you don't read lefties well. If Rusty doesn't pick up anything or you haven't picked up anything, then you just kind of guess. Go first move and see what happens.
There's probably a good chance that Rusty's picks up on something.
He's pretty good.
There's not many people that he doesn't have. And Bloomy, he is always with him. As soon as a new team comes in, he's like, all right, Rusty. He sits down with them and goes over all the guys Rusty has.
Now, will he pick things up during the game and share them in the dugout, or even share them with you as you get to first base?
Well, he does when he gets to first base, like what body parts to key on or what his tendencies are. But he pretty much knows all their tendencies before they even come. I know he's helped me. I'm not a base stealer, but there's things in my base running that he's helped where I've hit and run situations, getting a bigger secondary at second base, helping me get my secondary bigger at first on lefties. He's helped me quite a bit, and I'm not even a base stealer, so obviously he obviously knows what he's doing down there, because he can make me a better base runner. He can make anybody.
All right, how many major league stolen bases do you have?
Is this really a trivia question?
Yeah.
2? Maybe 2. Do I have 2? 1?
3.
So you always
selling
guess
yourself
low,
short, yeah. Broken bat. Lopez throws out Pena, and that's the inning. Royals lead 2-0 at the end of 4. determine that just like on the field, if it's working, don't mess with it. You up in the booth, Gil's pitching a great game. We're going to hang on to you for a couple more innings.
I hope I'm here all 9 then, because he's thrown one.
Gil with 4 shutout innings so far, and the Royals have given him a 2-0 lead. That pitch is whacked past Tien and out into left field. It's only the 2nd hit tonight for the Diamondbacks. Mark Reynolds is 1 for 2.
That's a pitch right there that was down and in, and he was able to stay inside of it and keep it fair. That's what kind of getting through the ball inside and not hitting around it. That was a great effort by Mark. The ball was hit so sharply, he had no chance on that one.
And now Chris Young, who flied to left his first time up. And he bunts. Gil is on it. Looks to second, and they get the force. Kind of an awkward throw. It almost looked like he stepped towards first and threw to second.
Yeah, well, the reason he did that, Miguel was screaming too from the get-go, and I think he was thinking one, but since I think Miguel was screaming so loud, I think he figured Miguel knew what he was talking about.
And that's really a tough play. I mean, to push a bunt toward first base with the runner being held at first base, you got to really get that ball firm and right at the second baseman to even have a chance. So he'd be better off to maybe try to drag that ball to third base.
Well, John, you brought something up that I'm sure a lot of fans aren't aware of. You know, pitcher can make a good play or a bad play on a bunt like that, but it's not all on him. They need some help from the catcher to determine where they're going to throw.
Yeah. You know, their backs to the play. They're charging the ball, and what they're trained to do, supposed to be trained to do, which doesn't always happen, is thinking the head base and then going otherwise once we tell them. But sometimes pitchers are pitchers. They take the safe out. But we have a lot of athletes on our team, and they're generally looking for that head base runner.
Now that's interesting. So, assuming you're going to get the lead runner unless you're told otherwise.
Yeah, and that kind of goes into mine and Miguel's job and Brian's job. Is we got to know the athletes that are on the mound. There's some that get off the mound a little bit better. Obviously, Zach, Gil, Davey's a pretty good athlete, but gets off the mound a little slower because of his delivery. And Danny's a pretty good athlete. And knowing what athlete you have out of the pen, those are all things that we got to factor in. There's pitchers that have the yips going to bases. We got to know that, or their yips going to second or third, but they're okay throwing to first. So those are all things we got to kind of know and put in the back of their mind, so that when that situation comes and it's a one-run ball game, we got to factor that in sometimes.
Remember Zach last start, Ryan? We had a real nice stop on him. He was feeling the ball going toward the line, and you can just see his eyes right on Miguel Oliva. His body wanted to go to third, but his eyes were focused on Miguel, and he was able to redirect the ball to first base. So that's just how important that's how hard they rely on the catchers for the instructions on that play.
Yeah, I was talking to Miguel, and he said from the distance where that was, he thought he was going to get him, so it took him a little bit longer. Saw who the base runner was, saw him get to the bag quicker, and he, of course, Zach made that great play.
Oh, great. I mean, he's one of the best athletes in the league.
He was kind of falling back, flat-footed, and still had a perfect throw to first.
That's odd. Just one more thing Zach can do, right?
It's 3-1 on Montero with Chris Young at first base. Diamondbacks have been a disappointment for the most part on offense this year, but they will run. They are second in the National League in stolen bases, and Chris Young has swiped 10 this year, has a pretty good lead over there. And he takes off. Montero may have swung at ball 4.
Well, A.J. Hinch said he likes to run 3-1, 3-2. He's going to try to force the hitters to put the ball in play and open up some holes on defense and try to increase the run production of his ball club. But, John, you and I talked a couple times early in the season about just Royals pitchers in general and sometimes how they're reluctant to pitch inside. And I know Gil's last start, he pitched inside quite a bit. But tonight he's very seldom gone inside.
Yeah, you see him falling off a little bit more than normal, but you know, his velocity's still there, and he's locating his off speed good. When he's not really getting through his balls, those are when he generally leaves the ball up. But he's still getting through it, still throwing well. It's just, you know, I know the game plan with these guys are a little bit different, and I know with all these lefties, I know he was trying to use that more as effect and get them out of the way, the type of hitters that they are, you know, as far as pulling.
Young took a little jab step towards second and was just barely able to get back.
Well, you can't get picked out 3-2. So he gets picked out there. Your whole team is saying, "What the heck's he doing?"
You may as well just go into the Royals dugout, huh?
Well, you can't find a hole deep enough. Sure.
Reynolds with a leadoff single. Young tried to bunt his way on, but Gilmesh fielding that bunt and throwing out Reynolds at second. Young running, and Montero grounds it to Billy, who will take the sure out. Young moves up to second base. So 2 down, and here's the James B. Nutter pitch count for Gilmesh through 4 2/3 innings. Excellent at 58 pitches. He has struck out 4, has not walked anyone, and has permitted just 2 base runners. Now you read him much better because you catch him so often and you're much closer to him. The one thing that's always amazed me about Gil is that his demeanor doesn't seem to change whether he is lights out or he's getting pushed around a little bit.
It's because he's always constantly angry while he's pitching, so that's always good. And he's pretty high intense. He just doesn't show it. You know, he keeps everything in pretty well, which obviously mound presence is a good thing because you know your whole team feeds off that, and that's why I think one of the reasons why when stuff starts to speed up, he's able just to kind of stay consistent.
Cutter is up the middle. Callaspo with a backhand, and you know that feels good against your former team. Callaspo saves a run. Let's give him a little smiley face here. There we go.
Get him with his arms up, and you see where he's hitting out a little bit. See, he's laughing. Ryan, you're laughing.
There we go.
Perfect.
All I need is John Buck up here to make me laugh.
There we go. To that guy's expense.
Well, maybe sometimes we need a fan like that to remind us how fun this is and how fun it should be.
Well, he didn't realize the last 3 or 4 broadcasts you've been a little under the weather, too. So laughing wasn't the easiest thing to do.
Laughing might lead into a hacking cough. David 1 out of 2, driving in the Royals' second run in the second. A clutch hit with 2 outs, scoring Tien. Davis struck him out in the first inning. Two balls, 1 strike. Davis shaky in the first couple of innings, but now he's retired 8 of the last 9. Three balls, 1 strike. '87 pitches for Doug Davis. That's a great pitch on 3-1. David couldn't do anything with that. Full count. I imagine that's a pitch, John, that you love when you're behind the plate and you hate when you're standing at the plate.
You got that about right.
Difference between a great call and a terrible call.
Plus, it looks a lot further when, you know, Dave 3-1, he's looking for his pitch middle in, and he paints.
He'll take a leadoff walk. The third given up by Davis. Royals baseball brought to you tonight by Panera Bread. Explore a menu full of hearty soups, hand-tossed salads, inventive sandwiches, and savory breakfast items. Panera Bread, where every detail matters. Big crowd here tonight. T-shirt Tuesday. Beautiful night to be at the ballpark. Royals out in front 2-0. Willie taking a shot at the right side with that big hole. Singled and scored in the first inning, grounded out in the second. And Trey Hillman has some options here with the Jesus at first and Bloomquist, who handles the bat well up there. And there's that big gap in between the second baseman Lopez and the first baseman Reynolds, who is holding to Jesus. Drew kind of got his feet tangled up, and the throw is not handled by Reynolds. Boy, that seems so close, Frank, to possibly running Drew into a double play, and now nobody is out.
Well, going to his left, Ryan, he got too close to the ball, and he got caught in between, and his main foot was on figuring out how to catch this ball, and his footwork really wasn't together enough to try to go for 2. And, you know, Willie, he's always running hard, and he's always going to force that play to be a good play, and any throw off either way, he's going to be safe. But you can see how he was falling back after he made that play. He just got much too close to the ball.
A little different bounce, and that just leads him right to second base for a 6-3 double play.
Well, you can see right here how he got too close to it, then he had to back up, and then all of a sudden the ball goes down, and his footwork's not there.
Willie hits it hard to left. De Jesus had to hustle back to tag, and that throw is cut off. And you hardly ever see this, but the catcher, Miguel Montero, jumping up into the air in frustration. Diamondbacks thought they had a good throw from left field.
Well, it was an excellent throw. I mean, it was right on line, and Billy hits the ball hard, and the umpire plays it perfectly. And there's a nice throw. That's one ball you just, with 2 outs, you can just let go. A lot of it depends on how they handle it, too. A lot of times if the catcher doesn't say anything, then you let the ball go. But on that play right there, he's got to read where the runner is and let that ball go. That was a great throw, too.
Frank, and I'm thinking, too, even if that throw goes through and it's not on line, that play happens so quickly. I don't know if Willie has time to get back to first, tag, and move up to second base.
Well, he's watching the height of the throw. So if the throw is down and can be cut, it'll hold him at first. It should. Unless he's trying to exchange with 2 outs, with 1 out, try to exchange an out for a run in that situation. So So that's just one of those plays where he probably had a nice one-hop throw coming in and didn't have an opportunity to catch and block the play.
Now a chance for two again. And the Diamondbacks turn it. But a cutoff on a great throw to the plate results in the Royals' third run. Light freeze cam, and the defensive play of the game, Felipe Lopez lost a base hit on Martin's diving play on the left side. Coors Light freeze cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Martin a good night on defense, and he's 2 for 2 at the plate with a run scored. Gil Mesh, 5 scoreless innings, 4 strikeouts. And he's 0-1 on Ryan Roberts. And Frank, how many times you see it? A guy cuts off a perfect throw to the plate, 1 inning, he leads off the next one. Happens all the time.
You make a great play, you lead it off too. you make a bonehead play, you don't want to be first.
2-1 on Roberts, originally from the Blue Jays organization. Made a decision this spring training after being a solid utility infielder to take up catching just in case he could catch on with a team that might need an emergency third catcher. And that helped him make the club out of spring training. Shallow right. Guillen calls off Callaspo. 1 down in the 6th inning. Roberts is 0 for 2. And we'll revisit You Call It, presented by Sprint. What National League team has been the biggest surprise this decade? And the fans agreeing with Frank White. 54%. Colorado Rockies in the way they turned their 2000 season around. Advancing to the World Series that year where they were beaten by the Boston Red Sox. Rockies had had 6 straight losing seasons prior to that year. 0-2 on Lopez. Rockies won 14 out of their last 15. 21 out of their last 22. I'm talking about getting hot at the end of the year.
That's smoking right there.
TJ diving from his knees. And the throw is late. Backed up well by Olivo. That took a funny kick off the netting in front of the camera bay. That'll be an infield single for Lopez. So 1 on, 1 out in the 6th inning. A reminder of tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Kansas City Royals. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation.
Well, I think TJ makes that play if he gets the ball on the first grab. He had to reach for it twice, and if he'd have got it on the first one, I think he would have made that play.
And John Buck, who's up here in the booth with us, I'm sure will appreciate Miguel's hustle to go back that play up.
I should have went with my instincts. I was gonna point that out. I don't know if it gets pointed out enough.
Absolutely.
But you see where Miguel goes. We both talked about it, and that one actually stays close because Frank alluded earlier in the game how it kicks off our fence along here, and that's kind of one of the things. What every ballpark we got to check, see what the curbing is or whatever, because if that runner goes, it's kind of our responsibility to keep him from going to the next base. Of course, Miggy was right there.
See, sometimes when we talk up here, you guys can make us look real good. See how he hits that netting?
Oh, but it hit the
Hit
post.
that and then shot straight down.
Oh, that's one of the rare things to hit the pole. But if he hits the netting, it'll probably throw it right back toward first base.
Usually ends up right around the coach's box.
TJ out at second. Ooh. Did he hang on long enough? He did. Yeah. Second base umpire Dale Scott saying he was in transition. So Lopez is out at second. Parra is at first with 2 down.
But this play right here, Alberto's just maybe a little late getting that. Probably should have been a little earlier. Really didn't have his footwork together. And he was able to take this ball back behind and caught it a little deeper than he normally would catch it. See how deep it is back there, and his head's already gone to first. And if you move the head just a little bit, you miss that transition from hand to glove, and that really hit everything from the umpire.
He sure didn't have it for very long.
So that's why you got to get to that base early and get yourself set. But he wasn't able to make his feet work because he was there a little bit late, and the ball was off to his right, and he just couldn't get it out in front like he's supposed to. It got deep, and then he turned his head a little bit too soon, and that's a good way to mishandle. And I'm a pro at that because my first year, I made 23 errors doing the same thing. I was going from shortstop to second base. And back then they didn't have any rules for sliding at second base, so I was always wanting to peek real quick, ball hit, drop right at the base. Most of my errors were like that in 76. Yes. Then I went to winter ball and worked with Kicker Rojas in winter ball, and came back in 77 and won my first Gold Glove.
One ball, 2 strikes on Upton, 0 for 2. He's one of Gill's strikeout victims. Gill has been very effective tonight. He's given up 3 hits so far in 5 2/3 innings. Diamondbacks maybe haven't struck out as many times as we thought. Gill has struck out 4, and maybe most importantly so far, he hasn't walked anyone. Took something off that curveball, and it's 2-2.
Generally, when he tells me he does that, he ends up choking it. He ends up trying to create more spin to get kind of that drop rather than just letting his arm speed generate the drop on his curveball. So generally, when you see it up, that's him trying to yank it down just a little bit too hard.
Is he trying to bounce that one by any chance, or just this?
Usually 0-2, 1-2, and depending on the hitter, 2-2, he'll try to bounce it. Once it's 2-2, obviously Gil, he can throw his curveball at 3-2, depending on hitter situation. He can throw it for strikes. He has the ability to throw that intentionally for strikes, but I think in those counts he's trying to keep it down.
Parra's running, and that's ball 4, and that's a painful walk because Gill at one point was 0-2 to Upton. So 2 on, 2 out. Stephen Drew to the plate. It's been very pitch efficient tonight. 17 pitches in this inning. So Parr at second, Upton at first. Stephen Drew is struck out and lined to second. Pickoff play second base. And Pena keeps that from sailing out into center field.
I think one of the things that can really help a center fielder is if the middle infielder knows he's going to put a pickoff play on, just get a sign with your center fielder so he knows it's not going to be a pitch. That way he can just start running when you run, and you won't have the base run will have an opportunity to take the next base.
What's the catcher's role on that pickoff play? Are you there to help him out with the timing of when he steps off and throws to second?
Well, it depends on what pickoff play it is. You know, there's different things that we can do to help him out. You know, tell him how big the lead is or whatever. But it kind of depends on which pickoff play, whether it be second, first, or third. There are things that we can do, but I'm not telling you.
You could tell me, but then you'd have to kill me.
That's right.
Because when Gil, on that play there, he's looking at the catcher.
Yeah.
But he knows, obviously, that Pena's making a move for second base. He doesn't see him, but he knows he's making a move.
Well, that's just how close of a team we are. He knew what Gil knew what he was thinking and just turned around.
So it's one of those Jedi things, like using the force.
That's right.
That's usually a timing play. Usually on a timing play, he is watching the catcher, but it's like 1,001, and then he spins and goes to second base. But
back to Gil, and he gets out of the sixth inning. Diamondbacks strand 2, 3-0 KC.
Slam inning. Our contestant is T.C. Hill from Grain Valley, Missouri.
It was good, though.
This is the bottom of the sixth, and the Raws are up 3-0, and this is our Sonic Slam inning, and our contestant is T.C. Hill from Grain Valley, Missouri. If the Raws hit a home run this inning, T.C. will win $300. But if the Raws hit a grand slam out of the park, T.C. will win $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
Olivo after the first pitch to Roberts over at third. One pitch, one away for Doug Davis. Olivo's 0 for 3, but he has an RBI with a fielder's choice. Here comes Mike Jacobs. Coming up on Saturday, July the 4th, we'll have an early game of 12:10, so you can enjoy a day of baseball and have your night free for cookouts and fireworks. It's also the return of the halter top, the best all-time Royals promotion, according to a fan vote. 10,000 ladies will receive this halter top, and 10,000 guys get a classic ringer tee, thanks to KMCI 38 The Spot.
I remember halter top day. I think Back in our day, they were a little shorter.
That was a different time, Frank.
Oh, boy, was it ever. We're laughing.
There you go. Where's that sign?
Where's your sign at?
What year is it?
Now you just have to make sure if you do halter top day that it doesn't coincide with a protest of some sort the next day. The politically correct halter top. Jacobs into deep right. Just got underneath it. Upton lost it, and it's off the fence. Well, he didn't see it, but that's about as good a deep job as you're ever going to see. Justin Upton had everyone convinced that he was right underneath it. It was to the last moment that he turned and looked to the chain link fence.
Look at Rock behind him. He almost hit him.
Well, I tell you, it's almost like he's searching with his eyes, trying to find that ball, but gave no indication that he couldn't see it. And we talked about Davis pitched Jacobs. They want to get inside, but when they miss inside, then he's got them. But you can see his eyes. It's all up there looking for this ball. And is it twilight time?
Well, I was thinking it's not quite that shade of gray that we referred to where it's tough to pick up the baseball. And there's still enough blue there, but obviously not enough for Upton to find out. Now, of course, in Upton's defense, Jacobs hit that thing a mile high. A slice foul off the right field line, and it's 0-2 on Cayaspo.
Yeah, just take a look at his eyes, Ryan. The eyes are just going, where's left to right. They just look. He was straining as hard as he could to try to find that ball.
John Miserock, who John Buck was referring to, was doing everything he could to help out Justin Upton, Royals bullpen coach. Drew cuts it off, fumbles for a moment, throws out Cayaspo, who's 0 for 3.
Frank,
and Jacobs moves up to third.
Sorry,
you're right.
I don't know about how it was, how much the lights have changed when you played, but it seems like at dusk, or like now they have a very high sky at dusk. The sky gets real dark, and then when the ball goes up, it's because the way they rub the baseballs, it's almost the same color. Or if we have an overcast night and when it starts to go dark right before the actual sun goes down or gets too dark, sometimes when those balls go straight up, it darn near can't even see it.
And some umpires rub the balls darker than others too, and I think that plays a big part in it too. But it's that certain time of night, especially when it gets high above the stadium. That's when you kind of lose those. But the lights, I would think, are much better now than when I played in the 70s and 80s.
Well, that was back before electricity, right? When they just light candles up there?
No, we used to have to park cars in the outfield.
Oh, that's right.
And turn the lights on.
Had to walk to the stadium uphill both ways.
Right. Take the stagecoach to the ballpark. Martinez had a great night. 2 hits, a run scored, and has the defensive play of the game.
Martinez does a good job staying on this breaking ball, Ryan. And he just go to his defense, like a nice diving play to his left. It's all about quickness, and then staying on another breaking ball back through the middle. So he's on tonight, defense and offense.
Ooh, he had a good swing at that pitch. Just missed a fastball that Davis left up and out over the plate, and maybe Montero a bit concerned because he went bolting out to his pitcher. What's Miguel Montero saying?
Don't do that again. Just missed that.
Well, he left it out. I mean, that's Mark's range right there. He wanted that ball down, and he left it out. That's the ball that Mark usually drives to left center field.
That's kind of obviously with Davis. That's when you've seen slow. Sometimes that's what he'll do. He'll get away with one.
2 balls, 2 strikes. 107 pitches for Davis. And the Diamondbacks now working in the bullpen. Up the middle, into center field. Royals lead 4-0. Mark Teahen is 3 for 3. Sixth time this year, Teahen has had 3 or more hits in a game. And there's A.J. Hinch pointing to the bullpen.
Well, again, Mark gets the same breaking ball. He doesn't pull off it just a little bit, but enough to get it back up to Miller. And got enough bat on it, enough top spin, and the ball got through the infield.
For the 21st, view level infield, Hy-Vee box and Hy-Vee view level seats, $5 a piece. And the Royals' next Royal night will be June 29th against the Minnesota Twins. That'll be on the next homestand. Here's Esmerling Vasquez. Rookie right-hander making his 20th appearance of the season. Ball one on Tony Pena Jr. He's grounded out twice tonight. The Royals getting 4 runs off of Doug Davis in 5 2/3 innings. Teahen at first is still the responsibility of Davis. One and one. While I have a moment, and while John Buck is in the booth, I want to thank him and all the Royals players who showed up at Dick's Sporting Goods last night. We had a great turnout at Gloves for Kids, and want to thank everyone listening tonight who came out and participated. We had a wonderful turnout and raised a lot of money for the RBI program here in Kansas City.
I know I got to give away the gloves with you one year. I think after I did that, I told you I'm always doing that as long as I'm here. And to give a kid a glove for his first glove because he couldn't afford it or whatever the situation may be, to hand that kid a glove and see his face, that was something that I know I'll always take with me. And I was fortunate to be able to do that with you, and it was something really cool. So I mean, this little event, you know, I know where they're going. I've been there, and it's a really cool thing that you do.
Well, I appreciate that, and I will say that John is one of the guys every year that I ask him, will you do Gloves for Kids this year? And he says yes. I don't even tell him the date or the time or when it's going to be, and even stayed a few minutes later last night because of the big crowd. So I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
2-2 on Tony Pena Jr. Royals with a run in the first, a run in the second, a run in the fifth, a run in the sixth. They haven't had a big inning tonight, but when they've had scoring opportunities, they've taken advantage of it.
Well, that's what you do, Ryan. You get that timely hit. You get your men in scoring position, get a timely hit, and you don't have to score a ton, but you just keep adding on as the game goes.
They've made the most of their opportunities. Only 6 hits, but 4 runs. This will be one of those games where, among the 6 hits, only 2 extra base hits, but if you're not hitting for power, if you're not hitting home runs, you have a run here, a run there, and all of a sudden you've given Gil Mesh a 4-0 lead, and Gil hasn't hardly allowed anything in his 6 innings.
Well, it looks good when you got a run in the first and the second, then you skip one and you get one in the fifth and the sixth. So from a pitching perspective, it really means a lot to a pitcher.
Royals add 1 in the sixth and lead 4-0. Butler, run coming home on an error. Dave Owen's been a little more busy tonight. And John Buck, we have declared, has been quite impressive in the TV booth. No pain in his back. He has stood for part of the game. He has sat for part of the game. We'd hate to hear a couple weeks around, well, John was ready to come back, but we had a little bit of a setback. He was up in the booth for 7-8 innings the other night.
I think they sit me up here because I move less than I do when I'm in the dugout. Frank and Nick got tired of me saying, I'm like, can I do this? Can I do that? No, John.
Well, there are certain guys that are a lot of fun on the bench when they're not in the game, and then there are other guys that just drive the coaches and the training staff crazy when they're not in the game. And you're saying you're the latter of the two?
Yeah, probably.
One thing we notice about you in the dugout, that when good things are happening on the field, you're emotional and very supportive of your teammates, and that really stands out big.
I think that's one of the things for our team, for us to be successful. Every single person on our team has to be committed to obviously winning and pulling for each other and doing the little things. Today it's base running. That's the whole reason we're winning today. And those things, are going to help us win ball games. I mean, Tian taking the extra base, DeJesus tagging for Billy there. That's how we're going to win ball games. And we all have to be going in the same direction, wanting the same thing, pulling for each other, because we're not, we're not like the Yankees. We don't have those big, huge thumpers we can go out and buy and say, here, hit us 30 home runs. We don't have that. We got to be a team. And when we play like a team consistently and we do those things collectively as a group, we're a very good baseball team. when we get away from that and those fundamentals that we are good at, obviously with the last stretch, those things were repetitive things that hurt us. And when we stick to those, this is the type of baseball you see.
Reynolds strikes out. That's 5 for Gill and 90 for Mark Reynolds. Here's some of that emotion we've been talking about. There was the game winner in the 11th inning against the White Sox.
Maybe that's what got the back. Look at that.
You guys pound each other pretty hard.
This was during that Yankees series in the rain, where John Buck almost single-handedly won it for the Royals with some big RBIs and avoiding a sweep against the Yankees. Also has a grand slam this year.
Triples for the catcher.
That's
How about
right.
that?
I forgot about that. I mean,
we got to bring that up. That doesn't happen.
Yeah,
well,
triples.
Yeah, the back injuries killing your chances of winning the triples title this year. 2-1 on Chris Young, 0 for 2. Broke his bat. Shallow center for Bloomquist. 2 up, 2 down in the 7th inning.
I was, I don't know if people knew that type of sequence that he went. The previous at bat, he went 2-2 breaking ball. The next at bat, he did follow it up again. Since you guys were talking about the strikeout, he sat on the curveball. Gill went with his strength, sat on it, hit a line drive to second. That time he ended up going with a cutter, kind of in those middle counts rather than the breaking ball that he did early. That's kind of, I know Miguel went right to it. I've seen it on the monitor, and that's kind of the stuff as catchers you think a lot, and maybe the everyday person doesn't know that Miguel had to keep track. He struck him out with a curveball in a middle count, then he sat on it, and then when we got back to about a 2-1 or a 2-2 count, it's kind of a middle count, he went with a cutter, something that's still moving but hard. And that's, of course, Gill gets credit, but my part of it, I think Miguel, he went right to that cutter. That's, he went along with remembering the game plan.
Do you ever amaze yourself with the pitch recall that you have?
It's just something catchers do. I mean, and Mac has, helped me quite a bit to have kind of a system. But I kind of always grew up learning in patterns, and it works good with catching.
I mean, you've got 9 guys in a lineup, and Gill is middle towards the end of third time through the batting order. So, we're coming up on, 24, 25 batters have come to the plate in the pitch sequence for each guy.
It's something where if you do it every day, you get used to remembering things in certain counts to where it comes a little more easy.
Driven to left. David adjusts with his feet. Gill gets the Diamondbacks in order in the 7th. Stretch time at Kauffman Stadium. 4-0 Royals. Great night for Gil Mesh. Royals have given him a 4-0 lead at the bottom of the 7th, and now Panera takes us around the league. Milwaukee in front of Cleveland. Prince Fielder with his major league leading 63rd RBI. White Sox and Cubs were washed out. Cardinals way in front of the Tigers. Chris Duncan has homered for St. Louis. So if the Royals can hang on and the Cardinals hang on, the Royals will be 4.5 back after tonight. Minnesota has beaten Pittsburgh. Mets over Baltimore. And the Yankees in front of Washington. Yankees 2 games back of Boston in the East. David DeJesus on base twice tonight. He has an RBI single, a walk, and he has scored once. Facing Esmerling Vasquez, who came on for Doug Davis. The Royals scoring all 4 of their runs off of Davis in 5 2/3. One of the runs was unearned. Royals scored in 4 of the 6 innings that Davis was on the mound. Pretty good changeup. 1 ball, 2 strikes. RBIs for Olivo in the first inning, DeJesus in the second, Butler in the 5th, Tien in the 6th. Stephen Drew to the middle to throw out DeJesus. 1 down in the 7th inning. Stephen Drew and his brother JD and his brother Tim all drafted in the 1st round. How about that? Tim and JD were the first set of brothers to be taken in the 1st round the same year.
Proud parents.
Well, there's a lot of other parents that want to know what Mr. and Mrs. Drew are putting in Stephen, JD, and Tim's cereal. Willie Bloomquist singled and scored in the 1st inning. 1 for 3 tonight. Now in spring training, the Royals are having a lot of fun with Willie and John Buck and saying that they must be long-lost brothers because they look like one another. Nice play by Chris Young sprinting in from center field. 2 down in the 7th inning. Do you see the resemblance?
Long pointy nose like me. Nice jaw.
Who was the guy? I've already forgotten his name. But one of our spring training telecasts this year was against the Dodgers, and they had a relief pitcher who looked even more like you than Willie Bloomquist did. I don't remember his name.
I remember someone saying that too. Probably big, really good.
Throws 104, right?
He's blowing cheese, yeah.
Billy, with just 1 official at bat so far, grounded out in the 3rd inning, but he has walked and driven in a run with a sacrifice fly. One of the hardest hit balls so far tonight was Billy's line out to left field, which resulted in the sac fly, scoring DeJesus. We know he can hit, John, but he's really been a pleasant surprise down at first base this year.
He has. I mean, he's put a lot of work into it. In spring training, as you got there, he was down there working with the little pick machine, and you know, as far as working on his picks with Davo, and he's put in his time, and obviously it's paid off because there's been times I've
slow roller to third, and Roberts unloads the throw, and Billy showing off his speed as an infield single.
Billy's giving it everything. He said, oops, infield hit right here. I got to go hard. And he runs out all the way through the ball. So, he'll talk about that one tomorrow.
He will. He's a good kid. He, you know,
Rusty had a good time with that. Fouled away by Jose Guillen. Billy has had a little trouble lately with the 3-6-3 double play, but you know, who isn't going to have a bit of a defensive slump at some point in the season? But when the Royals decided to move Billy to first base a couple of years ago, I remember Buddy Bell saying that they were surprised how soft his hands were over there. You're talking about the pick machine in spring training, and he made some very difficult picks this year. Will he go first to third? No. Dave Owen holds him up. Guillen has his first hit. And he's out for a pinch runner.
This is how you get inside of a two-seamer, Ryan. This ball is really pouring in on Jose. He pulls his hands in and drives the ball to right field. That takes a lot of skill to be able to do that. And Billy, he picked up Dave Owen a little bit too late right there. He probably should have picked him up about 10, 12 feet from the bag, and that would have gave him a better idea whether he's going to go or not. But the one thing about him, he's running hard, and I think that's the key right there.
Mitch Meyer running at first. I think Billy was thinking, hey, did you just see me run up the first base line?
I was thinking, don't send me. You saw me run up the line. I'm tired.
Olivo 0 for 3, does have an RBI. No balls, 2 strikes. Now he does have an RBI, so it hasn't been a wasted night at the plate, but you'll take an 0 for 3 on nights when your pitcher is throwing the way Gil Mesh is tonight, right?
I can guarantee you, Miguel's watching that zeros across that board, and he wants a shutout. Trust me, it's probably what he's thinking about right now.
Think about how he's going to pitch the Diamondbacks in the top of the 8th.
It sounds funny, but when we start seeing goose eggs go along the top, that's what we want. You know, because if we keep that, it doesn't matter if we get a hit.
Just missed the outside corner. 2-2. Miguel with 4 home runs in his last 6 games. He homered in all 3 of the games in Cleveland, and homered again on Sunday against the Reds. The bat and near the line, Hara is there, and that's the inning. We played 7. Royals behind Gil Mesh, leading 4-0. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Willie Bloomquist is moved into right field, started the game in center. And Mitch Meyer, who ran for Jose Guillen in the bottom of the 7th, stays in the game and goes to center field. And Gil Mesh goes strike one to Eric Burns, who has one of the 3 hits for the Diamondbacks, an infield single. He's also grounded out. Fooled badly on the cutter down and away. It's 0-2. Gil is right at 100 pitches.
That's when you see a hitter swinging a ball like that, what goes through your mind when you see a swing like that at a pitch like that?
He obviously didn't pick it up. Generally, when it's that bad, I tend to think that they were guessing on something. So I kind of, sometimes depending on the hitter, if I know if there's history that he takes swings like that on a slider or whatever, I'll obviously attack that. But if it's somebody that doesn't normally do that, I kind of do not go back to it, because I just figured it was one of those times he just didn't pick up the ball.
Well, he's tried to go with the breaking ball down and away in the last 2 pitches, 2-2 on Burns.
Do y'all see that? Gil was just told him change up.
Told him
the camera was zoomed right up on him, and he said change up
with his mouth.
With his mouth.
Just well, there's a chance a hitter's going to pick that up, right?
Well, he's pretty good. He'll do it when I'm close to him, or if I'm looking, the hitter's looking down, or sometimes just in those dead moments when nobody's really watching us, he'll say what pitch he wants, but it's generally where there's no way to really relate to the hitter.
Take us through the last pitch by pitch to Eric Burns, our Arby's pitch by pitch.
Right there, obviously with the breaking ball, he's getting ahead with it, and then there on that cutter, I think it just slid on him a little bit more than he was expecting with breaking ball. With the breaking ball there, and this was the pitch that I saw change up with his mouth, left it up obviously, and then right there with the cutter, try to get that ground ball. And generally in those 2-2 counts, when Gil's trying to throw a cutter or a changeup, he's trying to pitch more to contact, be more more aggressive with the plate, and use the front to back as far as the change of speed to produce the contact, the ground ball, or the pop up. Right there you saw it was more hard of the plate where Miguel was setting up, but he was using the movement of the cutter to look like that fastball and the change of speed, because his cutter is generally right around 87 to 89 when he's feeling real good. His fastballs are about 91 to 94.
Roberts to the opposite field, only the 4th hit for Arizona. Roberts first, 1-on-1 out in the 8th.
There on the monitor there. See, he said what it was is sometimes he'll do it when a hitter's like walking away, or if I go out to talk to him to toss him a new ball, or a dead time when it's generally you wouldn't be looking at the pitcher, and he's pretty good at it, because it's usually maybe he'll on a night where he does it a lot, maybe 4 times. It's generally just when he doesn't want to shake. Sometimes those situations, if he can squeeze it in there. And I know when I was with Houston, Clemens had a whole bunch of those. So does Pettit. You know, the way he wipes his mouth and things. Those are some of the things he relays to the catcher because he may not want to shake.
Lopez drives it to center. He's 1 for 4. Gil's biggest enemy right now could be his pitch count. Royals have Soria and Bale warming up in the bullpen. You know, Gil wants to go the distance, but he still has 4 more outs to get. This is the longest that Gil has gone this year, 7 2/3. He went 7 1/3 against Cleveland back on April the 23rd.
If I remember right, I don't think he wanted to come out of that one either.
No, he pitched really well. That was the game that he struck out 7 left with the lead, and Grady Sizemore hit that 3-run home run off of Ron Mayhay. Olivo down to second, and that's going to help out Mesh. That might have gotten Gill another inning. Roberts caught stealing, 8 scoreless innings for Mesh. Giveaways.
Trey trying to look at him in the eye. That's Trey's patent move when he's trying to talk to players and really get the, are you ready for this? And of course, Keel just kind of saying, kind of shaking his head, yeah. What do you think? And then the only going with the half arm thing. That means I'm just heating up the arm, still trying to cool everything else down. If he was done, he'd put the whole thing in.
Okay. Well, good. Tony Pena is on the pitch for Arizona. Doug Davis allowed all 4 runs. He went 5 2/3 innings. Vasquez an inning and a third. The Royals will send up Jacobs, Callaspo, and Tian. Single runs for the Royals in the first, second, 5th, and 6th innings. Jacobs doubled and scored in the 6th inning on a ball that Justin Upton lost in the twilight sky. Power against power. No balls, 2 strikes to Jacobs. So the Royals going for their 4th consecutive win, trying to improve to 5-2 against the National League. They began 0-2. They lost a couple of shutouts in St. Louis a few weeks back, but then won the final game of that series. Just got done sweeping the Reds, and now have a 4-0 lead in the bottom of the 8th tonight. On a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, not much coverage on this part of the field, and it's off the glove of Parra. Jacobs has his 2nd double. And now Jacobs is out for Tug Hewlett, who's going to run for him. The Diamondbacks did not have many defenders on the left side of the field.
Well, they had that one circled, and the left fielder obviously is going to have the best shot at it, but he let the ball get too far down below his waist, and that's always a tough play for an outfielder. You kind of want to get more in the shoulder area where you can kind of see it better, but Jacobs hit 2 of the highest fly balls that we've seen in a long time.
So Hewlett runs for him at second. And Cayaspo into right field. So the Royals are going to take a 5-0 lead, and now Upton misplays it in right. So Cayaspo to second base. The Diamondbacks have just committed their third error. And Alberto Cayaspo has driven in his 25th run of the year.
Well, Murray does a good job getting on top of this high fastball and getting it in the right field. And every time you try to make the little circle move, you got to make sure you keep your glove down. And here Upton goes over and just misses the ball, and that's what created the error right there.
So a 10-hit night for the Royals. Runner at second, still nobody out, and Mark Teahan trying to build on his already 3-for-3 night. A couple of singles, a double. He's driven in a run. He has scored once. Hit hard to left field. Parra is there. And Teahan with 4 good swings tonight. First time he's been retired. So 1 away. Tomorrow night, same time, 7:10. Zach Greinke against Max Scherzer. First pitch at 7:10. Royals Live begins at 6:30. And it'll be in HD. Brought to you by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. So here we go. Tony Pena against Tony Pena. No relation. They are both from the Dominican Republic. 0-1 on the Royals, Tony Pena. 0-for-3 so far tonight. And this is the first time, at least in the United States, that Pena has faced Pena. They may have faced one another in the minor leagues or in Winter League. To the right side. And Lopez throws out Pena. Cayaspo to third. MLB.com's At Bat 2009 for the iPhone and iPod Touch puts live baseball at your fingertips. You'll get play-by-play from game day, real-time box scores, video highlights, even live game day audio. Visit Royals.com today on your iPhone or iPod Touch to download At Bat 2009. To Jesus, to Lopez, inning over, but the Royals add a run, and Gil Mesh has 5 to work with as he goes for the shutout. and Jamie Quirk. Will Gilmesh go the distance? He has 5 complete games in his career, 1 shutout. And that shutout was in 2004 when he shut out the Boston Red Sox. Now, Gil has been part of a shutout this year. In fact, his last start, he went 7. Ron Mayhay won. Kyle Farnsworth won. That was on Wednesday in Cleveland. The Royals won that game 9-0. But now Gil trying to go the distance. 2 balls, 1 strike. He is at 113 pitches. It'll be Gerardo Parra, Justin Upton, and Stephen Drew, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters. How about that changeup? 2 balls, 2 strikes. Royals have already thrown 5 shutouts this year. Full count. 2 complete game shutouts. That was Zach against the White Sox and the Rangers.
Right, as interesting seeing John, he's calling the pitch before the pitch is made. He's talking about wanting to get back.
Well, it's no secret that the 2 of you have had a great relationship ever since he came over the Royals in 2007.
So he's fun to work with because you get in middle counts, he has 2 or 3 pitches he can go to. And
did he go? Yes. 6 strikeouts, 1 down in the 9th.
And right there, even though it wasn't on that pitch, the previous pitch was a 3-2 cutter inside, which he fouled off. And obviously, that gets his bat going. Where that 3-2 pitch, it carries over to that next pitch when he throws that fastball. He has to commit a little bit early because he sped up his bat, and then by the time he realizes it's a 4-seam up, he can't hold it back.
And now Upton, 0 for 2 with a walk. Cutter is outside.
Number 55, Gilmesh.
And it's now Stephen Drew. 122 pitches. Charging to the finish line. One and 0 the count, 96 miles an hour.
If there was any question about Gilmesh's stamina, it's been answered here. In the 9th inning, a strikeout and an easy ground ball. And now Stephen Drew. Fastball down the middle, strike 1.
Change up, 1-2 the count. You know how we operate here, folks. That team in red is the team we live and die for. We watch them all year long. We appreciate the game. And you appreciate an effort like this from this man. You respect it. Charging to the finish line. 126 pitches and a tie. There's that spike curveball.
And these fans are getting behind and getting loud. I mean, these guys came into the game 6 games under 500. This is great.
The 2-2. Outside, 3-2 the count. The 3-2. That's a topper. He hangs around.
Changeup. 3-2 to Stephen Drew. Somehow, some way, he was able to nick it foul.
Lafayette, Louisiana.
This place is going ape.
The 3-2. A topper. And it's foul right back behind home plate. So we'll do it again. Mesh rocks and fires again. And the at-bat rolls on. 130 pitches for Gil.
I think Gil's starting to get a little tired out there now. He's starting to show some fatigue in his body language. That foul ball, you could almost just see the frustration.
I think if he doesn't end the game with Drew, I think that'll be it.
Do you?
What do you think?
Well,
let him go on. We'll watch. It may be a moot point here in just a moment. The windup and the 3-2 pitch. Stevens wearing him out.
He is wearing him out. And a really nice play up in the upper deck by a fan. 9 pitches in this at bat, and they're starting to pile up now for Gil Mesh, Darren.
The 3-2 pitch, and now time is called.
Something like that can mess up the concentration of a pitcher. 21 pitches here in this inning. He's going pretty deep now.
I'm Gil Mesh, not a fan. 3-2, 2 outs. Breaking ball lifted to left. The finish line was just crossed by Gil Mesh. A complete game shutout. The 3rd of his major league career for Mesh. His 6th complete game, his first complete game this year, and for the Kansas City Royals. That is 8 complete games this year. They are #1 in Major League Baseball. They win it 5-0.